Good morning. Thank you all for being here on time and ready to go. I don't want to take up more time of yours than is necessary, so without further ado, I'll introduce myself. I'm Andrea Richardson, the principal here at Prairie View High School. This is my first year serving as principal, and as you can see from the PowerPoint that I'll be sharing with you as we go through this meeting today, the main focus of our meeting is going to be student needs, instruction, curriculum, and assessment, and just sharing with you my expectations as the principal and what I hope to see when I'm visiting your classrooms. But before we jump into what those specific expectations are, I have one question for you, and that is, what year are we preparing our students for? And I want you to think about that. I want you to think about your classroom in the years past, how you've taught, what types of projects or assessments or assignments have you provided, what type of instruction have you done, and when you think back on those things, what year have they prepared our students for? And with that, I want to share with you, as you're thinking through that process and thinking through that question, a little excerpt from Curriculum 21, Essential Education for a Changing World by Heidi Hayes Jacobs. This is part of my summer reading as I was preparing for this school year, and I would like to share with you what she says in her opening paragraph of chapter 1. I often wonder if many of our students feel like they are time traveling as they walk through the school door each morning. As they cross the threshold, do they feel as if they are entering a simulation of life in the 1980s? Then at the end of the day, do they feel like they have returned to the 21st century? As educators, our challenge is to match the needs of our learners to a world that is changing with great rapidity. To meet this challenge, we need to become strategic learners ourselves by deliberately expanding our perspectives and updating our approaches. I share this paragraph with you because what I hope and envision for this school year and for future school years is that we are preparing our students to be 21st century learners who are ready and prepared for their future career and college aspirations. And in order to do that, we constantly have to be changing and learning and working as a staff to incorporate those new skills, or to incorporate skills that are preparing our students for those next endeavors. And that's really what all of this is about. So as you can see from my PowerPoint that will be going along with my presentation here, the main focus of our discussion today is going to be student needs, instruction, curriculum, and assessment, and what my expectations are of all of you staff when it comes to those areas. Please know that my expectations can be interpreted differently among different people, and so I hope that as you guys process through what these expectations look like for your individual classrooms, that I get to learn a lot of new methods and strategies as well. So without further ado, our vision and our focus for this school year is to prepare each and every student with the 21st century skills that they need to be successful in the future of their college and career aspirations. And what we're going to talk about in this meeting is, number one, that vision and that focus. Number two, what you as a staff can expect from the administration, specifically myself. Number three, we're going to clearly explain the expectations of each of those areas of meeting individual student needs, instruction, curriculum, and assessment. I promise you I will be running through this pretty quickly because I really value your time, but I hope that if there's any specific areas that you have questions about, that you would visit with me about that at a future time, or even directly after this meeting, or through email, or whatever method best works for you, so that you can get the proper understanding that is needed to meet that expectation. And then finally, to give staff permission to be creative, try new things, and fail. Because ultimately, as we've read in growth mindset and other different evidences, failure can ultimately lead to growth. And that is our hope here. So, what can you expect? Number one, you can expect to be treated like a professional. All of you have worked very hard. You do professional development on a regular basis. You all went to school to become experts in your field. You deserve to be treated like a professional, and you will be treated like a professional. You will be given the benefit of the doubt. If ever any of these expectations that are shared today, if I feel concerned that they're not taking place in your classroom, I'm going to visit with you about it. I'm going to hear your perspective and want to know maybe there's something I'm missing. The truth of the matter is that maybe how you're playing out this expectation is 100% right, and I need to expand my perspective. And maybe it means that you need to expand yours, or maybe we're somewhere in the middle there. But the goal is that you would be given the benefit of the doubt, because I hope and I assume that each one of you is here because you love kids and because you want to see them become successful human beings in life. You deserve and can expect to have your time and your efforts utilized productively and purposefully. This meeting, anytime we meet together in this type of a format, just know that it's because we need to meet together in this type of a format. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. If it's something that I can answer through an email, or if it's information that I can pass along in a different method, I will do that. Because anytime you're meeting, I want it to be collaboratively with those who you need to meet with to benefit student learning. And that's the ultimate goal here. And last but not least, you can expect to not be tasked with something that I myself would be unwilling to do. Many of you have gotten to experience my teaching here at Prairie View High School in the past, and just know that anything that I'm asking you to do, I would have done as an educator myself. Also, anything that I'm asking you to do, I'm going to try to do as an administrator myself. In these meetings, I want to be engaging. I want to keep your attention. I want to hope you learn whatever it is that I need you to grasp, just like I want you to be doing in your classrooms with your students. So please know that those are what you can expect from me, and if there's other things that you would like to be able to expect from me, please visit with me about that. Expectations for meeting student needs. I have 3 expectations for meeting student needs. The first one is all staff have an understanding that all students can learn and achieve success. Basically, what we're trying to say here is that every student can learn. They are capable. You and I both know that our students in this district have wide ranges of experiences. Some of these students are going to come back after this summer and have loved every bit of summer. They are going to wish that they were still on summer break because they got to travel, they got to go do fun things, they hung out with friends. They have parents who care about them. They had all of their meals and their sleeping arrangements were covered. And then we have other students who come from broken homes, who have parents who went to jail over the summer, or who have parents who are no longer in the picture at all. Maybe we have students who didn't really get to eat that morning or haven't ate very often over the summer at all on a regular basis because of poverty or because of just lack of parental concern. We have kids who are taking care of kids, and we have kids that are dealing with a lot. But all of them are capable of learning, and all of them are capable of being successful. Now, it may mean that different ones need to be reached in different ways, and that's exactly what we're going to get into. All students can be motivated with a desire to learn, and that can eventually develop into them being responsible for their own learning. Ultimately, that's our goal, is to get students to be responsible for their own learning. Just like I want you to be responsible for your own learning in your classrooms and how to best meet your students' needs, we want our students to best know how to meet their own needs and how to best educate themselves. But ultimately, that starts with us motivating them. All staff must work to support each student to become a confident, innovative, and successful learner. Some of the expectations for instruction. All teaching staff should use a variety of identified strategies to accommodate various learning styles, provide engagement, and to motivate students. In the past, our district has looked at Marzano's Classroom Instruction That Works. We've also looked at John Hattie's Visible Learning. I have this piece of great material up here with the Curriculum 21 by Heidi Hayes Jacobs. I have a lot of resources available that talk about a variety of strategies, plus so much information is available online if you just do the research. So please, please, please start looking at some varieties of strategies for engagement and for motivation in order to help students learn. Talk with your colleagues. Cross the borders of the content areas. That's okay. Cross the borders of the grade levels. That's okay. Talk to elementary teachers. Learn what they're doing. Something awesome that I've heard of a lot of teachers doing is the flexible seating. They just simply change the way that students are allowed to sit while they're learning, and suddenly they're learning. So there's great things happening in education, a matter of looking for it is the real task at hand. Instruction should be enthusiastic and should focus both on individual skills and collaboration. We know that in the future, whatever it is that our students are doing, that at times they're going to be by themselves and at times they're going to have to work with other people. So involving those skills in your teaching and instruction is it's 100% necessary. Academic rigor and high standards should be a classroom norm for staff and students. We need to be challenging each and every one of our students. Now, how we challenge those students might be different from student to student, but every single one of them needs to be progressing and growing. And so how we do that might be individualistic, it might be class-wide depending on where your students are at, but ultimately high rigor and high standards is what we're looking for. Expectations for curriculum. All teaching staff should be using technology productively for student learning. I do not want anyone using technology for technology's sake. Okay, that's the worst thing we could do. And it's also going to turn our students off, which ultimately, if our goal is to motivate them and engage them, that's the last thing we want to do. So please use technology, but use it productively for student learning. If that means you projecting something up on the screen, if that means having students go to a specific source, if that means utilizing the iPads on a regular basis, whatever it is for your classroom and for your students that needs to happen in order to make technology productive for student learning, do it. And if there's something you need that you don't have, let us know and we'll work at getting it for you. All teaching staff should be using curriculum as a guide for teaching and learning. Textbooks is really what I'm looking at here. I don't want to walk into your classroom and on a regular basis see students reading and then writing answers in response to the questions, and then reading and writing answers in response to questions over and over and over again. Because what's happening there is they're simply reading, regurgitating, and forgetting. And ultimately with learning, we want it to be remembered and retained for future purposes. And so we need to make sure that our curriculum is only being used as a guide and it's not the only end-all be-all to the learning that's happening in your classroom. All curriculum used in classrooms should align with state standards and the focus of our building, which again is to produce 21st century learners who are prepared and ready for their future career and college aspirations. Expectations for assessment. All teaching staff should regularly be assessing student learning. This means that it should be happening on a daily basis in your classroom. That does not mean that you should be giving a quiz or a test every single day in your classroom. It just simply means that there needs to be some form of assessing what was learned during that day. I would love to see objectives posted on your boards on a regular basis so that way you have something to refer to for determining if learning happened or if what was supposed to be learned actually was learned. So something I would like to see is not just simply a list of what's happening in your classroom that day, but specifically, what do you want students to learn? So please look into putting that up somewhere where all the students can see it, and also even all of those who enter your classroom can see it as well. All teaching staff should reflect on assessment data for the purpose of improving teaching, instruction, and curriculum. So what does this look like? It just means any assessment that you're using needs to provide some feedback for you, preferably something that's data-oriented, in order to help you know if you need to improve that instruction or improve that curriculum for future purposes, or if maybe on this next point, all teaching staff should use assessment data to determine needs of individual students and collaborate with appropriate staff to bring about a solution-oriented improvement. Maybe something you're doing is working for all but one student. Well, that student is still a concern of ours. So what can we do to help that student? And talk about and meet with the appropriate people to bring about change for that student. Those conversations shouldn't be complaining, and they shouldn't be about, oh, this kid's driving me crazy and everything else, but it should be about how can we help that student get where they need to be, and meeting with the appropriate people to make that happen. Last but not least, you have permission. You have permission to be creative. I want you guys doing new things. If it's not something I talked about today, that's okay. I want us to be innovative, and I want us to try new things. Ask for help. There's no shame in that. We want our students to ask for help when they don't understand things. I want you to ask for help when you don't understand something from me. And also, you have permission to fail. Failure leads to growth. Growth leads to learning, and that's ultimately what we're after. And so if you try something new and it doesn't work, that doesn't mean that you're a bad teacher. It means that you tried something and now we need to try something else. So that's the goal here, is to do what we need to do in our classrooms in order to help students learn. We want to be giving them those 21st century skills, and we want to make sure that they are ready and prepared for the future that lies ahead. So thank you so much for your time. I don't want to steal any more of it, but if you have any questions over anything that was covered, please refer to the PowerPoint that I'll be sending you an email right after this meeting. And please come and meet with me as needed in order to best help our students learn. Go get them.